Hey everybody, Ella here, and after a 2-year break, we are about to start covering all the new Gravity Falls stuff that has come out, starting with coverage of the Gravity Falls vinyl soundtrack. And fittingly enough, today we're also dropping a soundtrack for this very podcast. It's called Mystery Shack Soundtrack, and it features just about every song and song cover we featured on the show here. You can download it for as little as free, and it's at ellacesari.bandcamp.com, link in the description. That's ELLACESARI.bandcamp.com. And if you stick around after the credits and plugs toward the end of this episode, you'll hear a brand new song cover from yours truly, and new Patreon shoutouts done by none other than Matt Chapman, the voice of Mermando on Gravity Falls, as well as a bunch of other Gravity Falls characters, a writer on Gravity Falls, and the co-creator of Homestar Runner. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Take me back to the place I know, with the mystery shack and the forest gnomes. I'm already packed, so come on, let's go. Don't get me started, my heart's in Gravity Falls.
Welcome to Mystery Shack Look Back, a nostalgic time capsule and no spoiler record club of the original Gravity Falls fandom. We are your curators. I'm Spanky.
I'm the Spritz.
And I'm your littlest brother, 30 under 30 media luminary Martin.
Is that... We haven't done one of these in a while. Is
No,
that how our intro went?
I feel like I think we messed that up a little.
I think that's correct.
Are you sure, Shelby? I don't know.
I don't know, Ella. Do you think that's right?
And I'm Charlie. I missed you guys.
We've
I
missed
miss
you too.
But my aim is getting...
Yeah, for sure. No, I constantly think, boy, I don't miss producing a weekly podcast, but I miss recording a weekly podcast with my best friends.
Yes.
You can pretend that we've been doing this every week before this.
Well, you guys missed a lot of episodes.
Man, last week's was crazy.
Last week's was nuts. We had God on.
Yeah, that's true. We had actually every god from every religion on the podcast.
Big get.
Mm-hmm.
So when we finished this podcast 2 years ago, the Gravity Falls fandom was done.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped doing that.
Yeah.
And it has been back in a big way lately. I think someone who can remember who said this might be the most popular it's ever been on Twitter or X.
I don't know if is that true?
It might be, because think about it this way. There were people who were 8 and didn't have social media when they became a fan of the show who are 20 now.
Wild. Absolutely insane.
No, see, that's not, I don't believe that.
Well, okay, you can bring it up with the person who posted that.
Oh yeah, you know what? I'd like to see them face to face. Really give a piece of my why I oughta.
And in this corner, ThatGFFan from YouTube and Twitter.
Oh, now come on now. Oh, come on, you don't want to fight me. Oh, come on, I was just joking around. Come on.
Yep, apology accepted.
So, you only first watched Gravity Falls in 2017, that's correct?
Yeah, pretty much. I guess, best way to describe my entire journey with Gravity Falls was I heard about the show originally in 2012, saw the shorts in 2014, and then found the show in 2017 while going through a bit of a rough patch, so now here I am.
Oh, wow. So the shorts were the first thing that you saw?
Yeah.
Huh.
Was there anything particularly that drew you to this show specifically? I don't need to talk about the rough patch, but what was I'll finally check out this thing I've seen shorts of?
Well, basically what happened was I saw a video by Saberspark, that YouTuber.
Sure.
He made a video called Cartoons and Conclusions, What Gravity Falls Did Right. Mm-hmm. And he basically just explained how the Gravity Falls finale is a good example of how a show...
So you got the whole thing spoiled for you up front.
Sort of.
If only you had some kind of no spoiler book club.
But I think that it speaks to the appeal. You knew that you were getting into something that had a trajectory, and you weren't gonna just sort of wind up high and dry at the end.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I saw that video and I was intrigued by what he's talked about, so positively for Gravity Falls. And I was like, this is a show I remember being advertised a lot on Disney XD and stuff. So I was like, let me give it a watch. And well, yeah, it only took 9 or so episodes, and I completely fell in love with the show.
But since then, since you've discovered the show, you got sort of a Gravity Falls fan base empire you've built for yourselves as ThatGFFan. Can I ask about the name? I mean, why not this GF fan or the GF fan? I mean, it's very humble of you to be, I'm simply ThatGFFan.
The funny thing is, I actually don't remember what the actual origin of the name is. Like, I just remember I was on Gravity Falls Amino at the time, and my name on there was just HK Gravity Falls fan because I have absolutely no creativity in myself. Although funny stories, speaking of the ThatGFFan name, I wasn't the first one that came up with it. Basically, what happened was when I was making my Tumblr account in 2019, I found out that someone had already used the ThatGFFan username on there. And when I clicked on the account for like the original person, like their main account, it was a One Slur fan page.
Hell yeah.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Hell yeah.
That feels right.
Biggering and biggering, baby.
Did you have to fight to the death to take the mantle?
I tried to see if they were active to see if I can get the username, but they've been inactive since like 2013, so.
So you just have to take over their mantle and do some Onceler content if you can.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, how much Onceler content have you posted?
Exactly 0.
So if you do it only once, that makes you sort of a Onceler.
So yeah, since then, I mean, you got certainly one of the most like extensive libraries of Gravity Falls videos out on your
Thank you.
YouTube, covering a lot of niche stuff that people like us and people like the people who listen to this podcast would appreciate.
When we did the Cypher Hunt podcast, I was like, ooh, I need help getting the word out about this one because the Gravity Falls fandom is going to be interested.
Yeah.
So while we were editing it, before it was finished, I sent the Bradley clip to HK, that's what we're going to call you for short, over here and said like, hey, can you make a video version of this but not post it until the podcast goes out?
Yeah, I was really happy to do that.
We are cited all over the Gravity Falls wiki for that Bradley stuff now, baby.
You can thank me for that. I added that on the wiki.
Yay, citations!
I love the part of the video where there's the picture of Alex looking sleepy at his phone when we're like, wake up. You have to meet me at the Twin Pines Mall.
You recently famously did a whole interview with Alex Hirsch as well, with one Hana Hyperfixate.
Who we may meet soon, we may not. Who's to say?
It might be a secret.
Great video. We'll be sure to link that as well.
So yeah, I want to get right out of the gate. We're not talking about Book of Bill today. That's next episode.
Lovely.
Because we never covered the Gravity Falls soundtrack release because it came out after we finished Mystery Shack Look Back. It is the first bit of Gravity Falls lore released after our podcast initially wrapped.
Well, lore is generous, but yeah.
There's some stuff here and there. There's some secrets.
That's true.
As we were researching it, you just kept coming up as a valuable resource in our research, and we thought, hey, if we bring this guy on, we get to be lazier.
Yeah, make me do all the heavy lifting.
You already did it, though. You've already researched the shit out of this, so.
Yeah, you've already done the heavy lifting. We're just asking you to recount the time you lifted a heavy thing. You're like, oh, yeah, that's pretty heavy.
Oh, this couch I lifted once, let me tell you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, happy to help.
So what? Shelby, what is the Gravity Falls final soundtrack?
Well, I would say the Gravity Falls vinyl soundtrack is a vinyl soundtrack album for Gravity Falls.
Oh!
Produced by I Am 8-Bit Records and the Walt Disney Records. Brad Breek himself is the one that hinted at its production in summer of 2020.
So you just alerted us to this a couple minutes ago, HK. He had a How I Made the Gravity Falls theme song video, which is since deleted.
It's still out there if you know where to look.
And he left comments saying there will be a Gravity Falls OST on vinyl soon. I'm not sure if they're releasing it on iTunes. And he said, I think only vinyl and maybe digital. And I'm amazed he was allowed to say all these things.
Yeah.
I know, right? And I gotta give a huge thanks as well for that to the folks on my Discord server, the ThatGFFan Discord server. They were the ones who originally let me know about this because like we were all talking about that video on my server, and one of them, I think it was my friend Emma, like she messaged me and she was like, hey, check out what Brad Breek talked about in the comments on the video. And that was where we all started discussing it and stuff.
The soundtrack was officially announced on Twitter by Alex Hirsch on November 27th, 2020. When were these comments on this video from that you can parse together?
I checked my Discord server before we started this, and I checked, and the messages were from, like, the comments that were related to the screenshots were September 2020. So it was a couple of, I think, like, days or weeks after the original video came out, because if I remember correctly, the video came out in August 2020.
Yeah, interesting. I know that I could tell there's probably no actual intention of referring to that here, but it is funny that that information got sort of leaked out, and then Alex tweets in November 2020, starts the tweet with, "Shh, don't tell anyone." Gravity Falls is teamed with I Am 8-Bit and Gravity Falls composer Brad Brick to create a mysterious, I'm wiggling my fingers to indicate the sparkle emojis.
Oh, I felt it.
Mysterious vinyl record with memories and secrets from the falls. Pre-order now if you dare.
Now wave a bush to kind of create the pine tree emoji.
Russell sound effects.
And then the link would send you to the pre-order page with an image that looked a lot like the thumbnails that we would make for this very podcast, where they were teasing the fact that they would have actual cover art soon.
Yeah, it was just a screenshot of them using the vinyl record in Boys Crazy.
A screenshot of them putting the needle on the CD.
Yeah.
When they're both, like, Dipper and Stan are both staring at it, like, dumbfounded.
I love that moment.
Never gets old.
It's such a good bit.
That's such a Matt moment.
Matt Chapman, that is.
But yeah, Brad Brick is the composer of Gravity Falls who put this all together. It's a very fascinating arrangement of soundtrack songs.
Yeah.
Brad Brick, let's just say before we get into the soundtrack proper, is amazing.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely incredible composer.
Yeah, I think we should talk generally about the music of the show, since we've talked about it in spurts when it's come up in the individual episodes, but I feel like we've never really been able to give it its proper due to really just talk about that element of the show, and I think this is obviously the perfect opportunity to do so.
I mean, like, I personally feel like music is something that can really shift the tone and the emotion of a scene.
Absolutely.
And he nails it every time.
I mean, especially in animation, because before we could record our voices and sync it to a cartoon, all we had was music. That was the driving audio of all animation for the first few years, decades of its inception.
He does a secret commentary on Not What He Seems on the DVD/Blu-ray. And in that he says,
I'm a terrible guitarist, by the way, but I'm also a terrible pianist. I'm a terrible musician in general, but I feel like maybe the reason I get hired to do this kind of stuff is, I don't know, maybe I have okay ideas.
I don't know about not being good at guitar. There's some pretty licks, like when Armando comes up and everything like that.
He also mentions that he's good at composition, at like the electronic composition of the pieces, which I think is incredibly accurate.
Yeah.
The computer, I guess, is my instrument. I'm able to put things together in the computer and make them sound cool.
Because both in this show and in his later work, like in The Owl House, We Bare Bears, he uses a lot of composition of songs electronically to create those like incredible, unique moods.
Personally, when I picture if someone says this sounds like Gravity Falls music, what I'm imagining is mostly synthesized with a real acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Right.
And I will say that like on the piano and guitar front, they are simplistic plays of them, so he finds ways to play to his strengths on the guitar and the piano. So like you don't have to be super duper skilled to still give us an incredible performance. And he does what he does best.
I think the visual form as well, like, it's not always demanding complex orchestration. Obviously, when that is asked for by the story, he delivers that, but more often than not, especially with Gravity Falls, it's fairly light stuff.
Right.
I can see how when you're so close to your own work, you get in your own head about it. I certainly understand the mindset, but from an outsider's perspective, it's, that guy's cake is better than mine. Holy shit, 2 cakes! Like,
Yeah.
When we did the Gravity Falls Lost Legends comic dub, Brad had put all of the Gravity Falls soundtrack on his SoundCloud, so we used existing Gravity Falls tracks.
Right.
And basically, I would finish editing the comic dub for the day. I'd be like, I'm taking a break. And I would send Ella what I had edited and be like, see if you can find a track that fits this. So that was kind of a very collaborative aspect of that video, and it definitely got me to understand how Gravity Falls music works better than I did, because there's a lot of really tiny, like, incidental music things.
Right.
yeah.
Bring to mind the very animation-driven music of, like, Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Because, like, if someone smiles, you might just hear a happy little chord play real quick.
Which I know he said that those little tiny bits are the hardest thing to compose.
I feel like almost the shorter the cue, the harder it can be sometimes, just because it's easy to make a short cue just sound cheesy and weak. I don't know why, but I feel like, for me at least, it's easier to make something that sounds big and epic and intense than to do something that sounds fun, but still cool in some way.
You know, I think something like the Fairly Odd Parents does this incessantly to the point where you can't not notice.
Do you know how Fairly Odd Parents music gets composed? Apparently,
Elmer Hartman.
Apparently, Elmer Butch Hartman sends himself humming all of the music to Guy Moon.
You would sing to me what you were hearing.
I would sing, I know.
And typically, what you learn in film school and what you just kind of gain by osmosis living in the music community is you take your notepad with you and you start writing what the producer would like to see. Mm-hmm. And I started writing, and then I found there were some things I couldn't write because you would just keep singing and do wah 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 wah. So I would actually write wah wah wah. And then eventually on episode 5 and 6, I started actually writing the notes that you were singing, like transcribing.
Oh, really? Like I would go like,
That is how Mel Brooks made The Producers the musical.
It is how Mel Brooks became a composer, but Mel Brooks did not write scores that way, because that would be insane.
Oh my God.
True. You know, that is pretty insane.
And that's why it sounds like that, because it's a guy supposing what music might sound like if it was there.
Oh boy, Elmer.
The real-time fan-dub musician.
If he didn't suck, I would ask him to do music for this episode.
Back in our episode The Love God with Mike Randa, we got the tidbit that Mike was the one who suggested Brad Brick. You brought Brad Brick onto Gravity Falls, it seems.
Yeah, I that was just sort of like one of the many things that I would do is like, and I realized like when I was working on a movie how much you need this person. Just like a little psycho because like we had a really hard time figuring out the theme song, and there were so many theme songs that were like friendly kids in a crazy town, like that had horrific lyrics. And one of the people who turned in music was Brad Brick, and I was like, oh, I love this guy. He was in this band, the Meishi, that I really loved.
Oh.
And one of the theme songs he turned in ended up being this like Mabel fantasy theme that we used a bunch of times throughout the course of the show.
Mm-hmm. I know which one you're talking about, I think.
Yeah, it's like bwow, 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 bwow. It's like obnoxious.
That's exactly how. Wow, why did you even need Brad Brick? You could have done the whole soundtrack yourself.
And then on his website, we found this song that sounded like pretty wonderful, and I was like, man, this could just be the theme song. It was very obvious that he was the guy.
That name caught him because he recognized him from his experimental punk band, the Meishi. Rihanna actually loves the Meishi so much that is the trailer music for Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Let me introduce myself. I'm Katie. I'm sort of a weirdo. My parents haven't figured me out yet. To be fair, it took me a while to figure myself out. My brother, also weird.
Hi, would you like to talk to me about dinosaurs? No. Okay, thank you.
And my mom.
Katie face cupcakes.
All of us, really.
How about we put our phones down and we can make 10 seconds of unobstructed family eye contact. Starting now.
That's Lamb and the Lion from their third album, Luihu. I listened to all 3 of their albums. They're weird, but someone here has a music degree, so I said, Shelby, I need your help.
Oh, yeah, Charlie was, like, describing and playing little bits of, I think, Terror Bird first for me. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, this is some music kid nonsense. Like, this is music school nonsense. It's interesting because, like, to me, the Meishi does sound like if Sex Bomb from Scott Pilgrim met in music school instead of in high school.
Yeah, that's a great explanation.
But yeah, the first album is very sound-oriented. Like, there are a lot of very short clips. Like, the very first song on the album is literally 25 seconds of just what sounds like a heartbeat, like a loud heartbeat.
the way I hear it, because that's the track titled Terror Bird, so I see that as a drum trying to create the sound of a bird flapping its wings.
The sound to me sounds like the sound machines that people would build that we learn about in music school to emulate like the sounds of the city. So it's just something that people would pump or like turn, and it would sound like New York City sounds.
Their first album, Terror Bird, is too experimental for me, but there's one track there that I really got into. There's a song that has the chorus, "We Learn by Repetition,"
I love
and
that
at one point they start like belting a little bit, like doing a little riff on it, like "We learn," but then cut back to the earlier footage of them saying repetition.
We learn by repetition. We learn by repetition. We learn by repetition.
There's a couple of songs that are pretty good on that. It is almost 40 songs in the album, which is a lot, but they're like, a lot of them are very short.
And they're very music school-y.
They are very music school-y, and I will say, like, it feels like an experimentation in sound, not necessarily an experimentation in music, because there's a lot of times where they'll be singing, and it goes into yelling with song behind it. And then they take the song away, and it's just yelling. So it's like, it's a really interesting experimentation.
I listened to the third album, and I think, my takeaway is that, like, oh, this is great. I don't know if I want to listen to it, but it's good music.
The third album...
Yeah, the third album is really good.
The third album is music, which is a new step for the band.
Well, I'll say the third album sounds more mainstream, but they also have more members by that point.
Waiting in the back, don't slip. Ready for attack, and we stop. The melody stop. The melody stop. The melody stop. The melody reaper. Waiting in the back, it's got a number. Slapping on your back, and we stop. The melody stop. The melody stop. The melody stop. The melody.
But yeah, the third album's really fun. But it is much more mainstream. It's less experimental.
But they keep that vibe, I would say. I don't think they lose it at all.
Not completely, no.
No, they don't lose the experimental vibe of it. It's still... I actually enjoyed all three of them, but the first one, if you have auditory processing issues, the first album is a very difficult listen.
So yeah, he met the first two members of the Meishi when he was studying at the California Institute of the Arts.
We must have brought up that school 113 times.
I see what you did there. Clever.
And so you said you definitely could see how the Meishi an experience on that led to how the music in Gravity Falls works?
Yeah, because especially listening back through the Gravity Falls album and listening to his later work, specifically in Owl House, there's a lot of experimentation that he's not afraid to play with in getting the sounds for the music. Like, we'll get into it a little bit later, but he does use a fair amount of, like, backwards music. Turning the sound backwards to create new and interesting sound. So I think that working on something where the majority of it is experimenting with the sound and the way sound works is something that did suit him well in creating new forms of sound for this show.
Wow.
And again, it fits the form of the storytelling, because I think a background in experimental music is so helpful for shows like this, like Gravity Falls and the Owl House, about weirdness and about being an outcast and about paranormal, witches, demons, all that sort of stuff. But even then, you have the more kind of down to earth shows like We Bare Bears, which he brings this like poppy, synth driven kind of sensibility toward that also works really well.
One thing I also want to add about like the music with Gravity Falls is like there's this very nostalgic feeling to it as well in some like aspects of it.
For
like
sure.
One good example for me, like one that I really love, is like at the start of Carpe Diem when we see Dipper and Mabel playing, Attic Stuff mini golf, and the music that's playing in the background. it invokes a lot of like nostalgic like childhood memories and stuff that I think it's because of what Alex Hirsch said in his like farewell Tumblr post about Gravity Falls when it was ending, about how like the fact that childhood ends is what makes it so special and you cherish it while it lasts. That's always been one of my factors of like why I love Gravity Falls so much, is because of that nostalgic and childhood memory type aspect to it, and the music captures that so well.
I would wager so in the Not What He Seems commentary, Briek talked about...
I feel like Alex really had a rare, quote-unquote kids show where the emotions of the characters were really taken seriously. And I feel like most of the notes that I was given from Alex throughout the series were with that in mind. I feel like he rarely gave me notes based on like, oh, it doesn't sound epic enough, it doesn't sound cool enough, or it was almost always about, this isn't quite the right emotion for the scene.
I would bet strongly that sense of nostalgia was a big thing that Alex pushed for specifically, since it is all coming from his childhood experiences.
It does make sense, yeah, because this is a love note to his childhood, yeah.
Something I always notice in shows is sort of, motifs and instrumentation, which there's a YouTube channel called Sideways that talks about how Steven Universe does this really strongly. The composers, Avi and Shirashu, do a really good job assigning instruments to the characters, which in itself is a very, like, Peter and the Wolf thing, right?
For sure.
Yeah,
Didn't think about that.
Where you would have each instrument represent the character and the emotions of that character's feeling.
Like a big fat guy sounds like a tuba.
And specifically for Steven Universe, in the case of, the characters can fuse and create new characters, and those fusions are the instruments brought together.
Yeah.
And Briek does a bit of that in Gravity Falls. It's definitely less specific to every character in Gravity Falls. Like with Steven Universe, every character has an assigned instrument. It is very consistent, and I think in here it is more about subjects and settings and feelings, kind of like what we were talking about with what Hirsch kind of emphasizes. In the Not What He Seems commentary, he describes them as palettes of instruments and chords.
So Mabel kind of had a palette, which was like kind of 80s synth pop. There was a palette that we established. Like there are a few, like specifically Gravity Falls sounds that I would rely on. Like there's kind of this whispery, ethereal synth sound that I would layer in a lot.
Little Gideon, of course, gets creepy, broken music box tones. He has, I think, a very specific theme, too, that comes up. McGucket will get banjo, whether that's kind of a worn-down, sad banjo, or a more, like, action-driven banjo. Like, the fight scene in, I guess, Society of the Blind Eye has a lot of that. And then a lot of Gobblewonker has banjo infused, which is an interesting kind of musical foreshadow of the fact that McGucket is behind the Gobblewonker the whole time in that episode. Bill Cipher gets a lot of wonky synths, a lot of like dong, 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 and a lot of specifically backwards played stuff, right, I think. And then there's
the Rising Shepherd tone.
The Rising Shepherd tone, which Bill has stated is his favorite music. I believe he said that in
the AMA, yeah.
And there's this thing that's it's not arpeggio, but it's sort of it's like whenever he's sort of summoned or brought about. Anytime we go to the portal, the basement lab under the Mystery Shack, we get this huge bombastic orchestration that intentionally sounds very industrial and very not like anything else we hear in the show, which I think is why stuff like the end of Gideon Rises and the climax of Not What He Seems feel so jarring and big, is because they are specifically saved for this, for these moments. Lots of horns, lots of strings, lots of classical film score stuff that you don't get in other episodic climaxes. And the emotional, kind of more relationship-driven moments, they will usually get a quieter acoustic guitar kind of thing, to the point where I had like a running joke with myself. I don't know if I ever said this in the podcast, but similar to the the stock phrase of like, the setting. Like, it felt like in season 1 there starts to be this pattern of like, the characters sit down and they just, I guess it's just that, well, this is my emotional thing, and then like the acoustic guitar will play, very like Full House, like
classic sitcom sound, yeah.
But it works though. I don't.
It can become incredibly predictable when you notice it. So if you guys go and rewatch season 1, when an emotional moment is about to happen, see if you can count in his acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
I never wanted to move out.
Then what was all this?
2, 3, 4.
Everything was fine until you started bringing your friends around every night. I mean, hanging out with you this summer's been fun.
And in the commentary, Briac also said
there are a couple chords, like this augmented chord that I would use a lot.
That's all over the show. So now you can't unhear it.
It is unheard.
Well, yeah, and that's just the ray that kind of goes into your ears.
Society of the Blind Ear.
Deaf ear, not blind ear.
Oh, true. Oh my god.
No, it is a blind ear.
Oh god.
So, HK, this is where your expertise will majorly help us, because we're going to start to go through the complicated history of this thing's release, this vinyl soundtrack.
Oh god.
Information getting to the public, or lack thereof, and getting retracted and unretracted and stuff like that.
Just to establish how insane this gets, our podcast started recording after the vinyl was announced, and then we completely wrapped up before it was released.
Right, and it was this perpetually soon-to-be-released thing, so we kept saying, like, oh yeah, well, we'll do this after the other episodes, because then it'll be out, and then it never came out.
By the time it came out, we were doing Garden Wall Recall, and it was just like...
Well, it was also that was getting shipped in stages and everything.
Yeah.
Like
Yes,
people
and as of this year, it is now finally on Spotify, so we're like, this is the time to talk about it, because now we can actually, like, link it to people.
So, but take us back to May 2021, when the first kind of big development happened.
Yeah, sure. Well, essentially by that point, like the vinyl, we were still in that waiting game, like seeing when it's going to release, and like they hadn't yet announced the art of the vinyl or anything else about it. They were just saying that it's going to come soon, just pre-order and stuff. But basically what happened was in May of 21, someone on my server, I don't know if it started on my server, but it was where I heard it first. They made us aware that the full version of Disco Girl was leaked online.
That is the song that Dipper sings in the episode Dipper vs. Manliness by the Icelandic pop sensation Baba.
Dipper and the Multi-Bear sing.
Best duet ever.
Well, I mean, it's more of a septupltet, because he's got like 6 heads.
True. I mean, he can self-harmonize.
Yeah.
But basically what happened was the source, it came from, believe it or not, a Fortnite mystery ARG of some sort.
Huh. Much like the message that Palpatine sent to the galaxy that we hear about in The Rise of Skywalker that is critical to the plot, this was only accessible through Fortnite.
Well, this was a Fortnite leaks account, but yeah, no, if you pay attention to Fortnite, you're basically going to be clear on what is happening next in all media, apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
Basically, it was like a Discord server, and someone who was good with data mining found the website that it was hosted on, and the website was known as dipperssecretshame.com.
Yeah, the Redditor called Dusky Xlops says, I brought this to attention in a Discord server trying to crack a Fortnite mystery. I changed the subject by bringing up Gravity Falls, which led to a very intelligent data miner going onto the website and cracking the code. So basically, it caused this to surface accidentally.
The website was password protected, so the password eventually was found to be Mason Pines, and without a space on it. So when you input a DAT in it, it'll take you to a page where it has like the cassette of Disco Girl recorded on it, and if you press play on the bottom, it lets you listen to the full version of Disco Girl.
Not only opens with Matt Chapman doing the worst Icelandic accent ever recorded.
Ladies and gentlemen, #1 supergroup all time, Baba!
But also has Jason Ritter finally reprising the role of Dipper singing along.
Everyone gasps when you hit the scene. Who's she? People say you're a funky queen. It's me.
We get an intro with Dipper in the shower singing his own theme song.
Dipper, he's the mystery solver. Ghosts fear him, dudes wanna be him. Girls are warming up to him generally.
which is something we knew that he did.
But we never heard. That's true.
From the...
I think it was Alex's AMA.
My favorite lyric is girls are warming up to him.
It's a good line, yeah.
He realizes that nobody's around, so he decides to play the classics.
Well, if no one's around, I might listen to the classics.
And then, of course, at the end of the recording, Stan walks in, interrupting.
In the middle of the recording, and Dipper pauses it, and then the song continues.
Well, the dialogue of that snippet is identical to the one in Dipper versus Manliness, to that flashback, so we can assume that this is that moment, just captured on tape.
The incident.
Missing scene fic, as Mary McKeon would call it.
Don't come in! I wasn't interrupting anything, was I? No. I had a thing that I heard. Sounded like the entire 70s was happening in here. It was a ghost. You heard a ghost. I heard a ghost singing top 40 hits. Yeah. It must be a ghost from that era, because who else would sing a song from then?
And there's this awkward resolution to the conversation where Stan just sees himself out of the room.
Well, you're a child wearing a towel, so I'll leave.
Yeah. It's not that hard, people. Can we talk about how... I don't know when else this would ever come up as far as Gravity Falls fans typing something into a website. I can't imagine when that would come up again. But figuring out Mason Pines as the password is so, like... I don't know. I find that very impressive that we can just kind of...
They literally must have been everyone trying everything until someone had written in Mason Pines.
Right. Yeah.
And this is like, we talked about this with the Cypher Hunt, that the opening clue to the Cypher Hunt was on the bus in the last scene of Gravity Falls in a Visionaire key that we did not have the code to yet. And they brute forced it, which we tried doing a Visionaire key the regular way, live on the podcast, back same episode as we had Rihanna on Love God.
It's hard.
It's not easy.
No.
The normal way, when you have the code.
But yeah, you can have a Rubik's Cube with as many squares as you want, mix it all up as algorithmically and possibly as you want, throw it to the Gravity Falls fandom and say go, and you'll have it in about 5 seconds, just with how many people there are and the teamwork of it all, and but especially the fact that this wasn't meant to be released as well, that we weren't... Apparently, we're not meant to even know about this in the first place. It makes it that much more impressive.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that I Am 8-Bit didn't copyright strike anything about it. They didn't go at anybody who posted it. I never got a DMCA from them being take this down immediately because I posted it to my channel, and I think the Mystery of GF also posted it to his channel.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But the day after it was posted, we woke up to find the website had been completely purged, and it was just a white page with a clock on it being it's down and something is going to come up soon, and it never has.
It was just a small pile of rocks with the one word unless. I'm bringing the Onceler back into your brand, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Gunning for that URL, Tumblr user.
Yeah, give it back to me.
If you're listening to this, we got to do a special Onceler episode. No, there's no way there's still a Onceler.
That guy's probably in his 20s now at this point.
I don't know. I mean, it's possible. Have you seen that guy?
Eventually, Disco, Alex tweeted out Disco Girl at some point?
Yeah, it was on the 10-year anniversary of the show. He tweeted out Disco Girl for, the 10-year celebrations because, there was nothing else to do besides, the S&P emails, so...
He also released the recording of We'll Meet Again that's featured on the vinyl, which we'll talk about when we get to the actual soundtrack.
It's so funny to me because I was busy researching the entire rest of Gravity Falls during this time for some podcast I did. Who can remember? So I wasn't following this too closely, but it was very strange that all I knew about the vinyl soundtrack was that it had the full version of Disco Girl on it, and then the one thing I knew about it turned out to not be true, kind of broke my brain for a second.
Yeah, that's right, because it was listed on the tracks as well. It was Disco Girl, and then after this happened...
It was gone.
No more Disco Girl.
I don't think it was even because of this, but they quietly removed it off the actual website listing as well. No one found out about this until it came out.
It was a little too close to the real song, I assume.
That's our guess, is that it plays it a little fast and loose with the ABBA pastiche.
Yeah, the Mystery of GF tweeted about it. He didn't specify what the reason was, but he just said it was a license issue with a copyright holder or something.
I have to imagine it was hey, this is not a parody. This is our song.
Yeah. And the lyrics are very, very cutting.
She's got sass for miles and miles.
right, I better hide this tape. Mabel can never know.
So that history kind of intertwines with the overall history of Gravity Falls music publication, like with Brad Briack's SoundCloud, because on March 28th and 29th, 2015, Brad Briack himself uploaded 3 volumes of music excerpts from Gravity Falls Season 1 to his SoundCloud. And you might recall that this is where we discovered Zombie Love, which is the unused lyrical Summerween ending song that closed out our podcast on that episode, because I love a Monster Mash sound-alike pastiche. It's great. And then in 2016, Briack uploaded playlists of the full scores of every episode of the series, as well as a Gravity Falls Real playlist with highlighted excerpts from the soundtrack. But sometime in 2022, Brad Briack began uploading the full episode scores to his YouTube, which delightfully are labeled. Like, you can label the chapters in a YouTube video. They're all labeled with individual track names within each episode, which is awesome. Really tickles my brain in that nerd way.
Because now we know what every single Gravity Falls song is called.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Right. The vinyl was, it was announced in 2020, and this, I don't know if you remember, this really weird thing was going on in 2020. It started in 2020. I don't know if anybody remembers, but whatever it was contributing to a lot of delays in the production and the shipping out of these records, and as well as the fact that I Am 8-Bit and I guess other sources as well tend to do this, where you pre-order one wave that gets shipped out at one point in time. Then there are new pre-orders opened up that gets shipped out at a later point. And according to the Gravity Falls wiki, the first wave was shipped out on November 16th of 2022, second wave in December 2022 and January 2023.
And here's the other thing, like, UMG didn't announce that the soundtrack was then going to be released on digital, like on Spotify or anything. Like, the only time
that's right. Yeah. That was completely unexpected.
Like, if I had known that was the case, like, I wouldn't be so worried.
Yeah, that's true. On January 12th of 2024, the vinyl soundtrack's music was uploaded to Spotify and other digital platforms, completely unannounced, like you said.
Yeah.
So we can finally start to get into the actual album that we're talking about, starting with the beautiful cover art.
The award-winning cover art.
That's true, the award-winning cover art. The cover art is by Ghost Shrimp, who was formerly a storyboard artist on The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack and a lead background designer on Adventure Time.
It definitely gives off Adventure Time backgrounds vibes.
It gives very Flapjack vibes to me, too.
Yeah, no, I see that.
Yeah.
It's got this kind of psychedelic vibe that kind of doesn't necessarily look like any particular album from the LSD tours.
I will say, like, I remember when the cover was released, it was sort of controversial with the fandom, because, like, a lot of people were like, this doesn't really feel too Gravity Falls-like, or, like, it should have been, like...
stylistically, it doesn't resemble the show.
That's how Grunkle Stan remembers the 60s, though.
Yeah, true.
That's true. They get pretty hallucination-y.
Yeah, for me personally, like, it's grown on me a lot. Like, I like it a lot now. Like at first, like, I was a bit iffy, but, like, personally, like, I've come to grow to it. Like, I love the vinyl cover.
It looks like something that would be on a restaurant that college kids go to.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like Mellow Mushroom.
Yeah, it gives me Mellow Mushroom vibes, kind of.
It looks like art of a...
I think it's wonderfully whimsical.
The art of a restaurant that serves all of its burgers on, like, a plank of wood.
I can confirm, as a recent university graduate, I've seen a lot of places like that in downtown Toronto alone, so, there's that.
I love just all the detail, and you can pour over it really for as long as you could the actual music.
Yeah.
Which is what the goal of a vinyl is like, you need something to look at while the music is happening.
That's right.
Which is kind of lost with CDs, because it's a flimsy piece of cardboard that you shouldn't touch too much.
I don't know. The CDs used to have those books with, like, pictures from production and, like, lyrics that I miss.
No, for sure. But the difference is that in a vinyl, those books are bigger. So
yeah,
it's true.
You can just sort of...
I forgot bigger is always better, Shelby.
Oh, I forgot.
That's why they were biggering, right? That's why they did all that biggering, right?
They were figuring on it, that's for sure, yeah.
Tumblr user, eh? No, but I love how they weave the idea of, like, the literal LP and kind of record designs, like, on the front is, like...
Right.
The Mystery Shack itself has the 2LP sign in place of World Pay-Pop. Which is, of course... The erroneous world famous sign from The Hand That Rocks the Mabel that I can't get out of my head.
The Hand That Rocks the Mabel, there's a weird animation mistake where world famous says world pay-pop, and it drove Ella insane for an entire month.
You can go listen to that episode to find out. And yeah, the two grunkles are sort of, their faces are on the building and they have the records in their mouths that are like formed.
Well, they are the Mystery Shack, you know? I think the Mystery Shack is kind of its own character and also the Stan Twins.
I'm realizing that describing it is making me sound insane. You should probably just look at a picture of it, but...
You can look at a picture of it unless you have a blind ear.
I think Seuss is the cutest Seuss has ever been in this picture.
And that's saying a lot, because Seuss is adorable.
He is the world's most perfect man.
And even you open it up and there's even more detail. I would bet there's a reference to every single episode in here.
Yeah, probably.
Because you've got, like, the back has, like, the infinity-sided die, the shrinking flashlight, you've got, like, Darlene, you've got... my favorite detail is probably Mr. Poolcheck strangling the Gobblewonker, because he totally would. Like, if that thing appeared in his pool, it would be over.
Yeah, the detail is just incredible.
Yeah, and then, of course, all on the cover as well, you've got the big, phonograph horn with Bill coming out of it.
Like the kitten frists.
Yes, yeah, of course. Gotta have them.
Immortalized by Shelby.
Woo!
That's true, yeah. We can get into the tracks themselves. We've got Disc 1, Side A, which is marked by the pine tree on the record itself, and Dipper's on the cover.
For those who have never handled a vinyl, basically the amount of tracks that are on an album don't fit on one side of a vinyl, so it's pretty standard for there to be 2 vinyl records, each with an A side and a B side. So if you see that you have a 4-sided record, you haven't crossed any thresholds into a new dimension. That's.
I mean, since there is 4 of us, we could go, each of us list the tracks off of each side.
Do you want me to do it as Dipper then, since this is the Dipper record?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Okay. So track 1 is Gravity Falls' main title theme. Track 2, Let's Rewind, score from Tourist Trapped. Track 3 is Gobblewonker Chase, score from Legend of the Gobblewonker. Track 4 is Pig is Seuss from Carpe Diem. Then 5 is Book Discovery, score from Tourist Trapped, and Gideon's theme, score from The Hand That Rocks the Mabel. And there's a backwards message in that we'll get into. That's not for this room of the museum, though.
No, but it does take place right after that track. I felt it worthy to note because, again, kids, unlike with digital music or CDs, you have to just put the needle in the right spot to find the track that you want. You don't get to press a button and skip to
Basically, it looks like there are things etched into parts where there are songs, and it looks clean, like nothing has ever happened to the parts where there aren't songs. So if you look real closely, you can see where each song starts and stops, which is why you get the titles like Needle Drop when a song starts playing at the right moment.
Yeah.
Track 6, Wax Battle from Headhunters. Track 7, Boys Crazy Medley, several time songs. Several time songs.
All the several time songs, which I'm sure Dipper loves that track.
Oh, yeah. 8, Let's Do This, named for The Hand That Rocks the Mabel credit scene, for which it was evidently originally composed. It's also in Tourist Trap, but the full score for that episode confirms there was originally a different track in that scene.
Yeah, I find that interesting because it's the track that what we know as the montage of Dipper spying on Mabel and Norman has this in it, but it was not composed for it originally.
9, Is It Bottomless? Score from Bottomless Pit, which is in the same track 9, as Triangulum Intagulum, which is how it's written.
Yeah, it's misspelled on the track title for some reason, which is not what Gideon says in the...
Amazing.
Score from Dreamscaperers, and then... Should I record it and then you reverse it, or should I try to read it backwards?
Try to read it backwards.
Which is a backmasked song from The Inconveniencing. Email us now.
Oh, what song is that?
Who knows
Dipper?
what song?
Are you sure?
You know what? Don't. You know, if you tried to find out, it really would do a lot of damage to your record.
Why don't we just play it backwards and we can find out what
some
song?
Some things you're just better off not knowing. I always say exactly that.
That doesn't seem like your MO, Dipper. That doesn't seem like how you operate.
Then track 11 is Fight Fighters, Battle Suite score.
And I love this one because you can tell right, like the exact cue when the super power mega ultra meta prefix combo, you can tell right when that happens. Track 12 being Blanchin is just an iconic way to end out this this side of the album.
Am I blanching? Girl, we blanching. I live up in a mansion.
Are you blanching?
Girl, I'm blanching. I live up in a mansion. Can I please have your attention? Cause you know we straight blanching. Can I please have your attention?
Okay.
You know that we straight blanching. We be blanching on a plane. We be blanching straight to France. We got blanching on the brain. Come on, eat your own pants. Eat your own pants, baby. Play it. Kids, are we blanching? Yeah, we still blanching. We continue to blanch. That word makes sense, y'all.
Yeah, and I love it's so because this could have just been like, here's some songs from the show, but there are like new, like we didn't have a full version of Blanchin' prior to this. We didn't have a full version of We Meet Again, and I don't know. It's such an interesting work overall, especially the choices.
I'd have preferred more of a strict chronological, escalation, but I also think it's a fun mix. Tonally, you get a lot of things that kind of back and forth are fun contrasts.
Yeah.
And it's generally split between season 1 and 2, but there were obviously, like, Blanchin' is clear, obviously season 2, and I would say it's split more in the sense of, like, fun and plot, I guess, Disc 1, disc fun.
Disc 2, disc continuity.
Track 1 on disc 1 side B, which is denoted by the shooting star and has Mabel on the cover, is Finally I Have Them All, which is the score from the end of Gideon Rises. Track 2, we have Gideon's song from The Hand That Rocks the Mabel, which is it is one of my favorites.
There's a church choir in this version that's not in the episode.
Would call you more. I get why that didn't appear in the actual episode, because it would be weird if it appeared like non-diegetically. They probably would have had to justify it with some kind of animation that they didn't want to do. I do get why it's not there, but it adds so much to the character of Gideon and to the vibe that he's giving, which is this evangelical, sermon. It also lacks the dialogue from Gideon talking to the audience, which is interesting.
Something tells me your name, Mabel. And then there's just silence for a little bit.
Track 3 is It's All Led Up to This, which is score from Scarioki, which sort of directly follows Finally I Have Them All. It's the intro to that episode with Stan remarking that he probably should have worn pants for such a momentous occasion. Which always made me wonder, like, did he think Ford was going to step out right then? He should have worn pants.
Ford would have stepped out and been like, all right, I'll see myself out.
Yeah.
And then just walked right back in.
Track 4 is Working Girls, a.k.a. Large and in Charge, from Boss Mabel, performed by Carmen Carter. And this one is even stranger because the copyright is registered as Large and in Charge, right? And Working Girls is what it's on the soundtrack as. Track 5 is Gnome Chase. No guesses as to what episode this is from. This is from Tourist Trap. Track 6 is the end credits of Gideon Rises, notably without Gravity Falls Will Return, which was only, I think, on the initial airings. Track 7 is Who's That Girl? Again, I love the contrasts here, because you go from the Song from Sock Opera to track 8, Fiddle for Tadron Mugucket, which is misspelled.
Mugucket
That's actually his mother.
Yeah. But it's the score from the Blind Eye episode, which is his entire tragic backstory right after the sock opera. And then we get another backwards message, followed by the Stan Wrong song from Boss Mabel. Again, following the backstory of Fiddleford with the Stan Wrong song. Absolute perfection.
That's very meta.
Yeah. As noted on the wiki, this is evidently an earlier version, like before the final mix, I guess.
Do the kicks!
Jazzier! My guess to what it was the instrumental ran longer than they expected, and there was a part where it was like, this silence could be filled by Mabel saying something else, and Alex just recorded it as a temp track until Kristen was in the studio for the next episode.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true. They have her lines for the rest of the song, but not
because she doesn't sing any parts of it, so the instrumental wouldn't need to be there yet while she was recording.
When they mixed it, yeah.
And also, if you time it to the visuals, Mabel's on-screen lines are all there, and her initial "do the kicks" is there. Jazzier is still an off-screen line, so that might be it.
I mean, ADR, you could say that again.
Yeah.
Come on, you liked my puns. What happened in 2 years?
Well, they're the same puns.
I mean, the thing is...
Oh. Track 10 is a very tricky triangle, which is from sock opera. I believe it's the scene when Dipper is manipulated into shaking his hand and gets possessed, and then we get that kind of bouncy, like, playful music as he's using Dipper's body for the first time, slapping himself, etc. Then we come to disc 2, side A, with the Fez symbol and Grunkle Stan on the cover. Shelby, would you like to take us through those?
I absolutely will.
You don't have to do the Stan voice if your larynx isn't up for it.
I don't think I could do that prolonged period of time.
I wasn't really doing Mabel, so you don't have to do Stan.
It's all good. So track 1 is a world of enchantment or whatever, and I came up with a plan. Score from Tale of Two Stans.
Yeah, I believe that's all that seamless sequence where he's inventing the Mystery Shack, on the spot. Or rather, the Murder Hut.
Yes, the Murder Hut. Track 2 is The Two Kids Who Ruined My Life. Score from Blendon's Game.
I think that's the opening when he initially calls out Globnar.
Track 3 is Everything Changes Today. Score from Not What He Seems.
Again, the opening.
Track 4 is Time Battle.
Yeah, so that's the song that plays during Globnar, and it ends with Brad chanting Time Battle. Instead of what I believe is Alex chanting Globnar, as in the episode.
Yeah, it kind of threw us off just a little bit.
But yeah, the music is a reference to the music in the commercial for Crossfire, which is one of the greatest commercials ever shot. Look it up if you haven't.
So I'm almost surprised that the temp track wasn't just Crossfire.
And that is Score from Blendon's Game. Track number 5 is Blackened Skies, score from Northwest Mansion Mystery. Track 6 is Don't Let Them Escape, score from Golf War. Track 7 is I Wanna Be Exes, score from Little Gift Shop of Horrors.
Why is that the title?
Well, it's because it's the end credits when Mabel is playing tic-tac-toe. And I had the hardest time finding the source for this one because the title is I Wanna Be Exes, and exes is spelled with an E, like in a relationship. So I thought, is this from the love god or something? But no, it's Mabel saying, oh, I want to be exes, as in I want to play exes in our tic-tac-toe game.
They didn't write it capital X apostrophe S.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I get it now.
Track 8 is I Need That Machine to Stay On, score from Not What He Seems.
Which is just a fantastic score overall, which is why they had him do a bonus commentary for that episode.
Yeah.
Track 9 is Yeah, Dude, Friends, score from Into the Bunker, and Your Fighting Only Makes Us Look More Rad from Scarioki.
2 bangers. Absolute bangers.
Followed by another banger.
Oh.
Track 10, Taking Over Tonight, aka Taking Over Midnight from Scarioki.
Yeah, again, I don't know why the in-universe name of the song is different from what they are calling the song, but I digress.
Later, we'll get to this, but there are even more names for this song.
Oh, God.
That's true. Too many. So, HK, would you like to take us through Disc 2 Side B with the 6-fingered hand?
Yeah, sure.
You guessed it.
Bill.
Bill's not the 6-fingered hand.
Bill the 6-fingered hand.
No, wait, no.
Sometimes.
I understand wanting to downplay Stanford in covers and stuff since he is, kind of a walking spoiler, but they didn't. He's on the cover of this album. Why not just make him the 6-fingered hand?
It also, this is so hard for the fandom to even think about, which is part of the reason we made the podcast, but Bill is also a walking spoiler.
Yeah.
in the similar way.
Also, one thing of speaking of Ford as being a spoiler, back in 2018 when the box set came out, like Alex was asked about like why Ford isn't on the box set, and he was like, because he's a spoiler. But then when you bought the box set in 2018, it came with a little pamphlet in it that mentioned, also buy Lost Legends because it came out on the same day. And take a guess who's on the cover of Lost Legends.
A second Stan.
Exactly. So
these animation mistakes.
A lot of the DVD box sets came with the See You Next Summer pamphlet, right? The paper.
And Stan just can't decide what his full name or handwriting is.
Yeah. So take us through.
All right. Sure. Starting with track 1, it's Mabel, It's Bill, which is a score from Dipper and Mabel versus the Future. And then following that is track 2, Goat and a Pig from The Love God, performed by Robbie Wyckoff.
Written by Neil Cicierega, aka Lemon Demon.
And then after that, track 3 is the Weirdmageddon Part 1 suite. There's also a backwards message from Stan in it.
After it, yeah.
And then there's track number 4, which is Giggle Creek, which is a score from Weirdmageddon Part 2, Escape from Reality. After that, there's track 5, which is Bill Tricked Me from The Last Mabelcorn, which, I think we all know what that's related to. After that, this one was something that I was also surprised to learn about, which is track number 6, My Heart Is Made of Rainbows from Weirdmageddon Part 2, Escape from Reality, also performed by Robbie Wyckoff. And in the episode, it was the instrumental version that played at the start when, Dipper, Seuss, and Wendy arrive in Mabelland, but here it's the lyrical version, and that was really cool to hear.
And it's completely new. We hadn't heard this at all. It's a brand new song.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite songs in the entire soundtrack.
Yeah.
Moving on from there, we then have track number 7, which is I'm a Flippin' Corduroy, which is a score from Weirdmageddon Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's track number 8, which is Saying Goodbye to Gravity Falls, which is the score at the end of Weirdmageddon Part 3, Take Back the Falls. Never gets old, that one. And then we have the Weirdmageddon Part 4 end credits score.
Fake news. Weirdmageddon Part 3 is both parts. I think that's. I agree. I don't think Disney Plus should have it split like that.
The only reason they split is for rerun purposes. So why?
Yeah, there's no reason to.
It's typical Disney. Then there's Gravity Falls ESTIM, which is backwards message. Are you
okay? Do you need to call someone?
An exorcist. We need to call an exorcist.
I wonder what song this one is. I've never heard of it. And it's used in all 3 Weirdmageddon episodes.
Yeah.
So it's an anagram of Gravity Falls theme, and then it's the words Bill's Chopped and Screwed remix. I love this one because, the melody is not the same as the Gravity Falls theme 1-to-1. There's the part where it goes... It's still recognizable as the Gravity Falls theme despite all of the things it's doing with it, including changing up the recognizable melody towards the end.
Because it's the same instrument palette.
And then finally we end off with track 11, probably the most well-known of the entire vinyl, I guess you could say. It's We'll Meet Again, performed by Question Mark, aka Bill, Seuss, Stan, and McGucket. Is this their band name?
That's the only explanation that I could come up with, that it just says performed by Question Mark.
Keep smiling through, just like you dudes always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away.
So will you please say hello to the folks that I know? Tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was screaming this song.
We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
but I love that it's just Alex's characters. For some reason, something about that is so funny to me.
Just Alex searching the recording boot over and over again.
That is, I love also the last thought you're left with when you finish listening to it cover to cover is, I hate you all.
You dudes.
I hate you all. So, as we've noted with some of them, some of the vocal songs particularly have either like different mixing or alternate takes, or they're either enhanced or extended in this recording. The Several Times songs all have like added harmonies, and before the song Mabel Girl, one of them shouts 2012, which might have been the first version of the gag that became 2013.
Which is fascinating that it was changed to 2013.
That's what's basically sparked the whole 2013 debate with Gravity Falls.
And that song, there's like the bridge that's kind of spoken word, and it has different timing than it does in the actual episode.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it being chalked down to like mixing and timing, I think is especially telling of like the animation process, because when you put things to picture, you might reorganize things in your sound mix.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, Blanchin' is an entire extended song. We talked about Gideon's song and Stand Wrong song and Globnar. In Taken Over Tonight, everyone joins in for the final line instead of just Dipper. If you'll remember in our karaoke episode, we featured an alternate take of Jason Ritter's performance of that song.
I love his alternate takes so much.
But yeah, I would guess that they had that sound mix in there because it was meant to be like that final harmony, but what we ended up getting was Dipper singing it and then Mabel saving him, which is more kind of a visual thing rather than something you would be able to predict in the sound mix. Also, in the liner notes of the album, Grunkle is consistently spelled wrong with the L after the E.
That's actually the science experiment Ford did to make himself less of a nerd, a la Stefan Urkel. That's Grunkel.
Oh, Grunkel. I was imagining it as some sort of German pastry.
Grunkel.
Grunkel.
Ein Grunkel.
Grunkel.
This vinyl received a Grammy Award nomination for Best Recording Package because of that killer cover art and overall packaging of the album.
So, as I had alluded to, Matt Chapman made so many songs for Homestar Runner and was in some bands with his friends before and after Homestar. Well, there's no after Homestar Runner per se. And the lyrics in Homestar Runner are so funny and weird. Like it perfectly captures the essence of someone improvising a song in a way that is written out to be the funniest possible. And so Alex, also being a fan of Homestar Runner, had Matt either write or rewrite songs in Gravity Falls for as long as he was on the staff. So I contacted him, and basically he responded sending us a bunch of never before heard early demos of Gravity Falls songs.
Oh, wow.
He writes, I gotta keep no. Should I do the voice, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be outvoted anyway, wouldn't I? So yeah.
I had a keyboard and a mic set up in my office at Disney, and one of my favorite occurrences when I worked on GF was Alex would pop in and say, "You need a little song for an episode." Jeff Rowe was usually my partner in crime, and we'd crank out something ridiculous in an hour or two. Eventually, Brad Breek would be given our rough demos and make them sound legit. But it always amazes me how much DNA from our janky demos would remain in the final version.
Notably, I have heard these previously. I've taken
And none
some
of the
notes
rest
on
of
them.
us have, so you're going to
That's
get
correct.
our initial reactions.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
So not only are you out there, I'm pointing with my finger like in a 3D movie, you are hearing this for the first time, never before heard songs, but these folks here are also hearing it for the first time.
Ooh.
There are two groups of people in the entire world who have heard these songs before, being the Gravity Falls crew and Ella.
I'm so ready.
Yeah!
So first up we have here is Mabel Girl. We got two different versions with minor lyrical differences. Matt writes,
After writing the Several Times episode, Alex asked if I wanted to try the Clones' final tribute song to Mabel. This was my first attempt crumbled together in GarageBand.
Yeah, Mabel doll, we know you never do us wrong. Yeah, plus you got it going on twice. Ha, guess that's why we wrote this song. Mabel girl, you treat us so right. And we know that you would never lie to us. You know that's right, because you're so selfless. Break it down.
With your awkward teenage charm, always keeping us safe from harm. You would never ever bend the truth. Mabel girl, we're in love
munchie.
You know that's right.
Mabel, dog, you cold saved our lives. Mabel, girl, will I ever leave you? And you know that we could never leave you. Here it comes, yo. Because we love you so. That's why I've got to let you go. Dang.
Dang.
Oh my god, that ending.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a lot of lyrical differences for the final version there. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I like that Mabel was originally supposed to sing along.
Yeah, I liked that incorporation into the...
Yeah, that's why I gotta let you go. She just solemnly says in the episode.
Yeah.
I also love that they cut "We're in love with you" for probably obvious reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now we have another demo he did of Mabel Girl with minor lyrical differences.
Yeah, Mabel dog, we know you never do us wrong. Yeah, plus you got it going on twice. Ha, guess that's why we wrote this song. Oh, Mabel girl, you treat us so right. And we know that you would never lie to us. No, that's right. Because you're so selfless. Break it down. Always keep us safe from harm. You got such awkward teenage charm. Saved us from the smunchie.
You know that's right.
Mabel dog, you cold saved our lives. Mabel girl, will I ever leave you? And you know that we could never leave you. Here it comes, yo. Because we love you so. That's why I've got to let you go. Dang.
That's what it would sound like if Matt voiced Mabel.
I was gonna say Homestar really pulled it together in that last line there. That's why I've gotta let you go.
The rest of these will all be with Jeff Rowe also there singing and doing terrible impressions of the characters.
I can't wait.
Good old Jeff.
Next we have Text Me Tomorrow.
That would be tomorrow.
Yeah, let me say that again. Text me tomorrow.
I'm glad it just sounds like you're doing it as
Steed bought it.
Yeah.
Text me tomorrow. He writes,
For karaoke, Alex had Brad Breek make a Living on a Prayer-esque backing track and tasked Jeff Rowe and I with trying some lyrics. Our first attempt was a Call Me Maybe ripoff called Text Me Tomorrow, but ultimately it didn't get big/harmonious enough in the chorus to bust zombie heads.
This was my generation's Call Me Mabel. No, it is fascinating that they did eventually do a Call Me Maybe parody, and one exists here.
Oh, Mabel, does it have to be this song?
This is the only song. Now sing.
Colon parentheses is how you smiled at me. I texted back some Z's, and now you're so in love.
You sent me pictures of cats. They all wore funny hats. I was way into that. I texted back, what's up?
Uncle Stan, it's your turn.
Kids, I don't know if our lives are worth this. Do it, Uncle Stan, do it. This is the best part. Love is a three-letter word. Jeez. It's got you in the middle. Life is crazy, but love is bizarro. If you still like me, then text me tomorrow. Life is crazy, but love is bizarro. If you still like me, this is it, boys. Life is crazy, but love is bizarro. If you still like me, then text me tomorrow. Oh yeah! Life is crazy, but love is bizarro. If you still like me, then text me tomorrow. If you still like me, text me tomorrow. Eat it, zombies. You're all dead.
Oh my god.
So that was Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem director Jeff Rowe as Mabel, as he always voiced in the table reads.
He's got a very Mabel energy, Jeffy Fresh.
He does. He does. Now we finally know what table read Mabel sounded like, so we can kind of cobble together what these episodes sounded
Table
like.
Mabel, we already
Table
Mabel. But yeah, eagle-eared listeners will notice that that is literally the same instrumental as Taking Over Tonight, but completely different melody and lyrics, of course. And yeah, I don't know if it would have like landed as well if the entire hook hinges on rhyming with the word bizarro.
No, it wouldn't have been as good a climax to Karaoke. It is, however, a new Gravity Falls song that no one has heard outside of the instrumental.
True.
The beginning part really plays it close to Call Me Maybe. I'm going to listen to that a billion more times after this.
I love it so much.
And I love how much Matt and Jeff are just making each other laugh while recording.
And I like the intro. I guess the joke of the intro where Dipper's like, does it have to be this song? And Abel goes, this is the only song.
I love
like
that joke.
implying it's like the only one on the machine. Like, is it the only one on the karaoke machine, or is Mabel just acting like this is the only song in the world?
No, I think it's the only one on this on the machine.
Well, so Blubs and Durland were doing a rap song on the
Rapper's Rap, yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but back in the day, you had to put a CD in, and sometimes a CD had one song on it.
Mm-hmm. That's
so
called
I
a
think
single.
Yeah. So I think she just put the only karaoke. It's like it has the track with no words and the track with words, and that's it. It's the only song on it.
That was so much fun.
Oh, beautiful.
Next we have here, Girls Do What We Like.
Our next attempt was in the girls just want to have fun vein and is closer to the final version, except with me and Jeff's bad impressions of the characters and off-key singing.
Hit it!
Mabel, our lives may not be worth this. Friday night, and we're gonna party till dawn. Don't worry, Daddy. I've got my favorite dress on. Mabel, this is stupid.
We'll roll into the party, the boys are looking our way. We just keep dancing, we don't care what they say. And all the boys in this place are getting up in my face.
Everybody!
You gotta sing together or it won't work!
Listen to your boys are a bore, let's show them the door.
We're taking over the dance floor. Oh, girls do what we like. Oh, we're taking over tonight. Oh, girls do what we like. Oh, we're taking over tonight. We're queens of the disco.
Oh man, we sound terrible. We sound terrible together.
Oh, girls do what we like. Oh, we're taking over tonight. Taking over tonight.
Duck!
Thank you! We'll be here all night!
Deal with it, zombie idiots!
Pines! 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 Pines!
So that had the same lyrical difference as in the soundtrack version, where it's...
And all the boys in this place are up in my face.
That's true.
Yes.
And it sounds so. It sounds like Matt and Jeff are singing over a pre-recorded demo vocal track of Brad Breek singing, and I think what might have happened is that Brad laid down this vocal track as a concept of the melody, because the chorus melody is the same as what we now know is the song, and then Matt and Jeff just made lyrics on it.
Yeah, if you listen really closely, you can't really make them out, but there are different he's not singing the same lyrics as them, so...
Right, I mean, they're generic lyrics to fill the melody, and I think, Matt, it was more like, this is the melody that here's an idea for a melody you could use. And also, there are a lot of specific sound effects and sort of action noises that suggest specific visuals, so I have to assume that this version of the song was timed out to an animatic or some kind of visual.
As well as there's some actual Kristen Shaw and Alex from the episode.
Yeah, so this probably was much later in the production.
And then for sock opera, he writes,
Early sock opera demos, close to the final version, just longer and some different lyrics, and two dudes singing badly.
In a time before time, there was a different time. It is this time. It is Mabel time.
Look, it's Mabel.
Hi there!
Did you say stable?
No, he said Mabel.
Okay.
Hit it, boys! Who's that girl with the pig and the braces? 100 sweaters all in your faces. She gets a thumbs up from the sun. She's so smart, she makes dolphins look dumb. When she's around, you're never bored.
I'm a mayor, and here's an award.
That's almost King of Town there at the end.
I mean, that's what I was expecting.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I'm a mayor. Here's an award. Oh, I'm having the time of my life with this right now. This is amazing. I can't believe we get to distribute these. I'm sorry. I'm freaking out a little bit.
Thank you, Mayor. It's true, I'm great. But the perfect girl needs the perfect mate.
That is Homestar music. That is just straight up Homestar music.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I think would you agree that the sock opera song is the Homestariest Gravity Falls song?
I mean, it
'Cause I kinda
changed the
think it
least for sure out of all of these demos.
Yeah.
I miss. No, he said Mabel. Okay.
Yeah,
just Jeff Rowe being like, like not being that excited.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. All right. Yeah. Sorry, I misheard there for a sec.
Yeah, thought you said stable. Sorry. So yeah, that's the previously unreleased.
Now released.
Yeah.
Now gnome.
Fully gnome now.
Yeah.
If you have auditory processing issues and missed any of that, go to ThatGFFan on YouTube. On the same day this podcast was posted, there should be a video with lyrics to all of those demos.
Earlier this year in 2024, of course, the soundtrack released on Spotify and other digital platforms. We covered that. It's just verbatim the vinyl tracks, just as they are, just in digital form. So now Brad Brick can get like a fraction of a penny every time you listen to it.
Woo.
Then on July 26th of 2024, Lo-Fi Gravity Falls was released with 12 lo-fi remixes. For those not in the know, lo-fi is basically a down-tempo, chill subgenre of hip-hop. And they're all remixes of tracks from the soundtrack. Why don't we just alternate saying these?
Gravity Falls main title theme.
Then we've got Let's Rewind.
And then we've got Fiddle for Hand-Drawn McGuckin.
Fourth, we have Let's Do This.
Then we have the Stan Wrong song, which is a hilarious choice for a lo-fi album.
Yeah, just Stan, I was wrong. Well, although the vocals aren't there, I should specify, but the melody is clearly there. Yeah. Track 6, we have Taking Over Tonight.
For track 7, we've got Gideon's theme.
8th, we have Gideon Rises and credits.
9th, we have Weirdmageddon Part 1B outro.
Track 10 is Weirdmageddon Part 1A.
Then for track 11, we've got Weirdmageddon Part 4 end credits, which is my personal favorite song in the entire release.
And finally, we have...
Wow.
And finally, we have Saying Goodbye to Gravity Falls.
Oh.
I love the reverse order of those. I don't know. It just kind of makes it like go out on this kind of bittersweet note instead of on the... When Shelby and I were listening through the soundtrack, we said like the Weirdmageddon end credits is like just much more upbeat than Gravity Falls music normally is. Like, you got the 80s synth for Mabel, but it's just such an optimistic sounding song, and there's always kind of this looming mystery in the rest of the soundtrack.
Yeah, and then I guess, give it all the lo-fi treatment, it kind of, tone changes anyway, so it's an interesting choice.
Are you guys into lo-fi? Personally, the rap beats get my heart beating with them, and I get more excited instead of chill down, so I can't use them to relax.
Can't use them to relax, chill, or study to.
I could study to, that's true.
I do like them to study to, yeah. Or deep dive into Gravity Falls too.
They do what they're designed to do, you can have them on while drawing or what have you,
Yeah.
The cover of the album, as well as the animation of the Disney Channel video, is Mabel drawing Kraz with the sleeping Waddles by the window. This was drawn by Emi Susuriga and animated by Small Boo Animation of Batman Spider-Man fame.
He comes over the house for sure.
They are best friends.
That's specifically on the YouTube version. The album cover is not animated on iTunes.
No, that would be magic. This is all, of course, an homage to Lo-Fi Girl, a famous YouTube channel with 24/7 lo-fi streams. Mabel, in fact, is even dressed like the titular mascot. My favorite part of this art is the drawing on the wall labeled Chartreuse Seuss, which is what it sounds like. It's a drawing of Seuss in chartreuse.
I do love that. That's a really nice tidbit. It's beautiful.
What color is chartreuse? I always forget.
Dude, it's not really a color. It's more of a state of mind.
Oh, yeah. No, that's correct.
These particular lo-fi remixes were done by Cooper Babs and Brian Parkhurst. They're really good. We should probably play a couple snippets. But you should go check it out yourself on YouTube or iTunes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're amazing.
In fact, you can check it out on the Disney Channel YouTube, because on August 16th, 2024, they posted a compilation video.
Animated by the Batman Spider-Man person? That's nuts.
People, even.
So there's a little visual gags happening periodically.
So I feel like it's just expected of anything Gravity Falls related at this point that there would be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There's the iKids balloon floating by, as well as a UFO abducting Octavia the cow.
Which is a deep cut.
That was one of the first shorts I actually watched as well.
So you would have gotten the reference even if you hadn't seen the whole thing.
You would have been like, I don't know what most of these things are or these songs, but that cow, I remember Octavia.
You would have,
I know that cow.
You would have watched the other episodes and been like, well, where's Emmett and Deshaun? They're my favorite hench gang.
People would be like, have you watched Gravity Falls? And HK would be like, the Octavia show, right?
Yeah. There are times where the sky turns totally red, a la Weirdmageddon, and other times the colors of the scene are inverted and a bunch of bill eyes pop up on the window, but, you know, it doesn't really feel right to talk about that kind of thing here, if you know what I'm saying.
No, for sure. Bill, you know him. He knows lots of things, and we're not allowed to talk about most of those things right here specifically.
Yeah. Shoot, Shelby, do you have the key to the other place? Did I give that to you?
So I actually retooled the entryway. So we're gonna have to go over and hit these books on the bookshelf in specific orders.
Okay.
So,
do you remember the order?
Yeah. HK, if you could hit the one on the bottom left.
Which one?
That one.
Charlie, top right, middle, the red book.
Yeah, sure is.
Ella, yeah, this green book here in the center, third shelf.
Got it, the red one. Wait, no, sorry, I'm a little colorblind. Sorry, I had to type the green one.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna pick up the rug and go down.
Ladies and gentlemen, right this way to the Hall of Conspiracies.
Oh, this is a nice retooling of the entrance. I like that.
Yeah. It still breaks me every time when I hear that we got Alex to do that intro.
Yes. Oh, yes.
That's really cool that you got it to play when you lifted up the rug.
I mean, that was part of it. I added speakers downstairs so it rises up from the floor.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Kind of like a Big Mouth Billy Bass type situation.
Hey, too soon.
It's been 2 years!
Yeah, I haven't processed it yet.
Where does it say, disclaimer, any and all hidden messages in this record are purely in your imagination?
That'll be right in the liner notes.
That's great.
There's a page that has sort of the Bill Cipher image that flashes with the Zodiac wheel in the theme song, and on that page is, yeah. So I guess in that case, we don't really have to talk about any of this stuff, right? Because it's not... Ella,
we talked about LaBam.
You did talk about LaBam.
Yeah, you make a good point.
Whether it exists or not is clearly not a component of the Hall of Conspiracies.
We are kind of quantum down here, so, well, I guess we could talk about the backwards messages hidden in the vinyl that we sort of alluded to earlier.
Which we will reverse for you, in fact.
The first one follows Gideon's theme. Backwards message plays in which Seuss says, which played backwards is...
Playing your record backwards is a great way to damage your record player.
Following Fiddleford Hadron Ma Gucket, Alex Hirsch says... which played backwards is...
Jam your thumbs directly into your eyes for a free fireworks show!
Which is wild that they let him say that. I mean, even reversed in an official Disney sanctioned release. I mean, I guess he's just talking about putting pressure on your eyes, not like actually doing any damage. But the word jam is just...
I don't know. My eye doctor told me not to do that anymore. It worsens my astigmatism.
The last message is following Weirdmageddon Part 1 suite. Stan says, which played backwards is...
Apparently, if you play this record alongside Wizard of Oz, it matches up perfectly.
Which is, of course, a reference to the Dark Side of the Rainbow, which is that apparently if you play Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon at the same time as The Wizard of Oz, the visuals match up perfectly. I watched it, by the way. I sniffed this one out for you guys. It's okay. It's honestly not the best coincidental matching of visuals I've ever seen. Of course, Blart's Side of the Mall is better.
Yeah.
Okay, but there is one amazing part where when they go black, white, and which is which, when they say black, they show the Wicked Witch of the West. And when they say white, they show Glinda. And then when they say which is which, both are on screen. Exactly.
Amazing.
That's great.
This was not intentional. They were not watching The Wizard of Oz while they were recording this album. They were, in fact, watching Mary Poppins. True story. But the Angry Video Game Nerd review of Wizard of Oz for the Super Nintendo is, in fact, written, directed, and edited to sync up perfectly with Dark Side of the Moon.
Amazing.
I love that.
Wow.
You know what we should do with the Discord server?
What?
Let's sync up the Gravity Falls soundtrack with Wizard of Oz and see if there's any serendipitous moments. Do that as a watch party.
Yes.
What are we going to call it? It needs because we have Blart's Side of the Mall. We have Dark Side of the Rainbow. What are we calling this?
Rainbow-geddon?
Somewhere over the falls.
Somewhere over the falls.
Invisible Wizard of Oz.
Somewhere.
Yes, Invisible Wizard of Oz.
I was gonna say somewhere over the Rainbow Barf.
That's good.
No, I like Invisible Wizard of Oz. That's so good.
I think my favorite secret within the vinyl is this one here, which is that. So the vinyls are advertised as being in decoder red. They're this like translucent kind of red, and they are that way because there are secret messages in the slip covers. There's a lot of red sort of squiggles or lines that cover up these messages.
I loved Ovaltine as a kid.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's pretty much that. It's sort of that era of decoding where there would be a message written in blue ink covered up by a lot of red ink so your eye doesn't really see it, and then you put a piece of red translucent, plastic or whatever to it, like a lens, and it filters out that red light and allows you to just see the blue message. So, Charlie, you want to read Dipper's?
Yeah, sure. Dipper says, Disco Girl. Or Disco Girl? Did you want me to speak it or say? I'm sorry.
No, hey, no shame. No shame, Dipper.
Yeah, sing it.
Disco Girl, coming through. That girl is you.
Mabel says, who's that girl with the pig and the braces? She puts smiles on everyone's faces.
Grunkle Stan says, I'm Stan and I was wrong. I'm singing the Stan wrong song.
So Bill says,
Eeny, meeny, miny, you!
And also shows the zodiac symbol surrounding him.
So obviously Bill's is not a quote from a song, but notably Dipper's is a quote from a song that is not on the album. For reasons we stated before.
True.
Poor Dipper.
But I do like that all the characters are singing besides Bill. Sans Bill.
Sans is Bill?
Sans Undertale, yes.
That explains a lot.
But not only does the vinyl have secrets, but so does the Lo-Fi album. A lot of this is just directly quoted via the wiki. But at about 1 minute 40 seconds into Gideon's theme, you can hear Morse code, which when decoded says, free me.
No, do it, Ella. Come on. People have waited this long for an episode. Do it.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's Gideon.
I want to hear it as Gideon so badly, though.
I think Gideon should do the Morse code, too, then.
Yes.
Yeah, at about 1 minute 40 seconds into Gideon's theme, Morse code can be heard, which I will read out as Gideon, of course. Dit, dit, da, dit. Dit, da, dit. Dit, dit, da, da. Which when decoded says, free me!
I'm gonna need a lo-fi tape of just Ella as Gideon reading to me in Morse code.
That's great ASMR right there.
I'd listen to it every day.
Oh, I've been ready to rock that do.
At about 2:42, at about 2 minutes 42 seconds into Weirdmageddon Part 1A, Morse code could be heard.
We can just play that one. You don't have to read it out.
When decoded, this says, "Remember Euclidia!"
And those two codes are also hidden text in the spectrograms of those respective songs.
The description of the Disney Channel compilation video then states, "Return to Gravity Falls with the Lo-Fi album. It's the perfect background music for unwinding, studying, investigating the supernatural mysteries of this dimension." And in several of the words, if you noticed, are capitalized, and they spell out,
"Free me!" So both of these, well, what are they alluding to?
I don't know.
That'll be next episode.
I actually have a envelope right here I meant to open that was also pretty ominous.
Oh, I love it when you get mail, Ella.
Well, actually, it's addressed to all of us.
What?
Yeah, we'll just open her up.
I'll just start.
Yeah, so Shelby, you want to take the second paragraph, and then I'll take the third one?
Hi, Ella, Charlie, and Shelby.
Hi.
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 My name is Harlow, and I am a huge fan of your podcast.
Aw.
I was a kid when Gravity Falls was airing, and my older brother and older sister would be allowed to watch it in the other room without me because I was too young, and it drove me up the wall. A few years later, a bit after it had ended, I was allowed to watch it, and when I tell you I got so obsessed, Gravity Falls was like my life as a kid. I had a whole shrine dedicated to it in my shared room with my brother. I got to read all the books over and over again. I've seen the show in total about 11-ish times. I used to have my grandpa record episodes on his cable TV for whenever I would come and visit him. It was insane. Like, I was so abnormal about this show, it was crazy.
Oh.
And as a kid, all you want is more, more, more. And so I would watch countless theory videos about how Gravity Falls was coming back and Gravity Falls Season 3 in 2019, yada, yada, and I believed all of it. But anyway, the first real Gravity Falls experience I had in, like, present time was when the Lost Legends comic came out. That's the same with HK.
Yeah.
And I got to be a part of the theorizing and code cracking and everything else with everyone else in the community. It was so awesome. But then, alas, no more Gravity Falls content for who knows how long after that. Until now. But shh. And so I kind of slowly got out of my Gravity Falls fandom.
Eventually, a while later, I randomly got recommended your podcast on my Spotify feed, and I was like, oh, I like Gravity Falls, what's this? And I just listened to, like, a snippet of the first episode, and I was like, yo, wait, this is actually really cool. And so I became addicted to your podcast.
Oh, go on.
I think I started listening around the Weirdmageddon episode, and I was stoked when you had an Alex Hirsch episode. I've listened to your Cypher Hunt episode all the way through, like, 5 times. It's such a goodie. I used to listen to all the episodes while I would draw, and it was some of my favorite background noise.
Aw.
'Cause one of the main things I was sad I missed out on was truly being involved in the fandom at the time that it was all happening. Like, sure, I can go and surf through all the forums and posts, I have, but it's not the same. But you guys just totally solved that and made such a well-documented and thought-through compendium of everything. And it just expanded my Gravity Falls knowledge so much. You guys are so funny and so personal, and there are just so many things that I quote that you guys say. Like anytime someone says the thing I always say in my head or out loud, the 1982 John Carpenter film, and I just enjoyed getting to know you guys through your podcast.
I hope you say it out loud more often than not. That's the right way to do it.
Yeah, no, if it doesn't bring the entire conversation to a halt, listen, as the resident CEO of interrupting people by saying a 1982 John Carpenter film, if it doesn't drag the conversation to a halt and make the energy really weird for a few seconds, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Also, Ella, I really loved learning about the trans experience through all your stories, and I love your art. Oh, thank you. I love that one trans comic you made, I think, on your birthday. It's very cute. I think you're referring to a comic I made about my birthday, which is in this big sort of anthology of trans comics called When I Was Me, which we can link in the description. It's fantastic. Highly recommend it. If it's still available, I'm not 100% sure. I'm straight and a cisgender female, but my best friend is non-binary, and there's a trans boy at my school who I may or may not have a teeny tiny crush on, but I'll never tell. Well, Harlow, now the whole world knows. You're welcome. And so getting to learn about trans identity and just so many things I would never know about is super awesome, and I love getting to learn that stuff. I think gender expression and sexuality is super duper interesting, and I wish it wasn't as taboo to discuss, because I just want to ask questions and learn everything that I can. And I live in a household that isn't against, but also, again, is slightly taboo with that kind of stuff, so I can't really get books about it or learn in the means I would like to, so your stories are super helpful and educational. I'm really, really glad to hear that. Thank you for saying that.
Anyway, again, what I was mainly writing this email for now specifically is the Book of Bill is out. And I was wondering if you guys were going to cover an episode on it. I'm writing this now because I've always had so much to say, and I always wanted the chance to be featured in an episode. It's totally fine if I'm not, but, a girl can dream. Yeah, you won't be.
Yeah. Dream on, kid.
I got my copy in a few days ago, and I'm currently reading and trying to decode things along the way. I've been having a blast. This book is wild, and I would love to hear all the things you guys have found and have to say about it.
Sorry this email got so long. Again, I just had so many things to say. I love your podcast so much, and I hope you guys are all doing well. Have a great day, and thanks for taking the time to read all of this. With love, Harlow. Thank you very much, Harlow, for sending that.
So it seems the question of the hour.
I guess there's something called the Book of Bill. I don't know what that is.
Never heard of it.
I guess we should talk about it. I just feel, I don't know, I feel underqualified, I don't really feel like I have the authority to really speak on it. Do we know anyone who does?
Are you asking if we know the Bill Cipher?
I guess fundamentally, I guess
nothing summoning a demon can't fix in my experience. Which is to say, the next episode of our podcast, Mystery Shack Look Back number 54, Book of Bill, will guest star Bill Cipher himself, Alex Hirsch, and Alex Hirsch himself, Bill Cipher.
Hey, dudes, I always love to return to a podcast. I feel great in front of a microphone attached to an adapter attached to a laptop with Audacity open.
More on that later.
Yeah, I guess.
To be continued, as they say. Thank you so much, HK, also known as ThatGFFan, for joining us today. I know, our brands have kind of been intertwined for a bit, so it was wonderful having you on to talk about your area of expertise. If the people want to find you, what have you got going on and where?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was really great to be part of this. Like I said, the podcast has been something I've followed along for a while now, and I'm really happy to see it come back. And I'm glad to have been part of this for this first episode back. So
long we have passed parallel to each other like ships in the night, but now we collide like a deadly shipwreck in the middle of the ocean.
I'm really glad to have been part of this. I'm glad I could help share anything that I knew here to help the podcast, in terms of explaining things that happened throughout this whole crazy release of the vinyl.
Yes, thank you so much.
No problem. I think at the end of the day, despite the craziness of just how the release happened, I'm glad we ended up getting it and it's finally over, and we can just get to enjoying all the songs that Bradbury created. But yeah, in terms of what I'm up to next, I got a couple of more projects in the works. I recently released a video about more obscure references and Easter eggs to Gravity Falls in lesser-known media, a video on how some good friends of mine managed to find the actual image used in the Gravity Falls logo through some next-level geoguessing and internet sleuthing, which was, funny enough, originally going to be a video about how the search was for that logo image and what our best leads at the time were. But then, shout out to my buddy Trickin' GF. He managed to find the image on a texture site of all places, and also shout out to my friends Alex M and Fried Oreos, who then, with his help, were able to find the location of the image, which was in a small French town in the Pyrenees mountain range, which is pretty cool. And the image itself dates back to 2007, which is just incredible, I'm amazed at how they were able to do that. It was just amazing to see all that happen. So there's that video, and I also have a upcoming video it's a bit of a top secret project, but it's an interview I had with a pretty well-known member of the Gravity Falls art community. We're still working things out on that end, but we hope to have the video out soon, and I'm really excited about that interview. It's an amazing look into a great member of the fandom who's created some amazing art that we all enjoy, and that's going to be really fun to talk about when that happens.
See, and that's what I love particularly about your work and your content, is that you get really into the granular stuff that people would otherwise take for granted, but there's like always, with a show like Gravity Falls with so many details, there's always something interesting about every little aspect.
Thank you.
Right, because it's not just a show Alex Hirsch made to mess with us. There's a whole team of people, and like, not every person on the Gravity Falls crew knows all information about Gravity Falls.
Yeah,
there are
exactly.
probably people on the crew that just were too busy or whatever to have heard the demos that we just leaked, which you're also going to be sharing on your YouTube with lyrics on screen.
Can't wait.
Which will be out now, the same day as this video, so go check that out.
That's the thing I love about Gravity Falls in terms of like this more niche aspect of information, because like of course everybody talks about the codes and the theories about Bill and what's going on there, but it's these more lesser talked about aspects of the show that I feel are where the great stories are still to be told, and that's what I love.
Yeah.
Like for example, the recent one with the buffalo, like that whole story was quite an interesting
that
deep
was a
dive.
great video, by the way.
Thank you. I'm still surprised at all the rabbit hole that was.
If you want to find more episodes of this podcast, head on down to our host network, pipedreampodcast.com. You can also find other shows hosted through them, like Escape from Walt Disney, How Did This Not Get Made, Come On Fahookwa Pods, and Pod Made You Special.
There's also a new TikTok account for How Did This Not Get Made, which is fantastic.
Oh, excellent.
I highly recommend you follow.
And you can also find, a bunch of links to our social medias. We've got a Twitter and Instagram, a Discord server, and our Patreon, patreon.com/Mystery Shack.
Big announcement coming up there soon. Stay tuned on this feed, because Book of Bill might take a bit, but there's something in the interim.
Well, that's me and
it's
them.
tough to have a pod. Thank you to Alex Hirsch for voicing Stan in the Hall of Conspiracies intro. That is wild that is a thing that is in our podcast. Thank you to Brian for making the instrumental to our theme song. The Hall of Conspiracies theme is Lentil Dentist, a remix of our first episode by Sim and the Dimbulb V2-0. This is a full song with lyrics and everything. There's a link to that in the description.
I love that stuck. I love that we still use that. I mean, I wouldn't want it any other way, but it's so funny.
Adam, thanks for unwetting our whistles so that we could then reverse them for use in a song.
For this podcast, the theme song is actually one that I have written. You can find it at ellachesary.bandcamp.com. You can also find me at DrawnWithoutRef on the social medias. Me and my friend Hope Lichtner, we do another podcast called The Matrix Reclamations, where we talk all about The Matrix from a trans femme perspective. I'm not sure if this episode will be out by then, but we're going to have Charlie on our next episode. And another thing I got going on that I just wanted to plug is that I'm working on a big collaborative zine for the 50th anniversary of my favorite film, Phantom of the Paradise. It's called Not Just Songs, a anniversary tribute to Phantom of the Paradise, or some long-winded title like that. So I'll just link that in the description, because that's going to be out on Halloween, up for pre-order, and you can get it online, and it's all going to be going to charity that we're going to figure out who it's going to, and stuff of that nature. A bunch of artists all collaborating in tribute to this weird freaking movie. So please go check that out as well. And my lovely co-hosts, what would y'all like to plug?
Yes, you can find me as at Shelby Sessler on just about every platform, I believe. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. And then I want to plug the epic crossover medley with Calamity Music. That's Gravity Falls, Amphibia, and Owl House. It's like an hour and 8 minutes of just incredible music. So if you haven't heard that, I voice the Collector in it, my friend Tomoda Sauce is in it, and my friend Jay Foley's in it. It's pretty great.
I'm Charlie. If you're hearing this, I just hit 100,000 subscribers.
Woo!
Hitting people's not nice.
I'm on YouTube. You can type in Charlie Marlowe, youtube.com/Charlie Marlowe. That's CHARLEY. It's the feminine spelling, MARLOWE. You can remember it's 7 letters, 7 letters. So if there's not 7 letters, you did something wrong. And you should be ashamed. Or you could look up Charlie the Pirate Thady on YouTube. That's they, and then a DY like lady. And if you spell my name wrong, YouTube will still bring you to my channel. As a matter of fact, my name spelt wrong is an autocomplete for when you type in that. I do a bunch of Gravity Falls content with a wonderful director named Shelby Sessler. I am working on an entire audiobook of the Book of Bill. That's going to take, I don't know, probably like an eternity? I think only one.
Yeah, maybe just one eternity.
Hopefully.
Maybe if we're lucky, it'll take half an eternity, but I'm banking on one eternity.
My current estimate is a year.
Okay.
Ooh.
But I have a couple previews of that up. I also have a stupid little passion project that is not going to ever make headlines, but is the quickest way to get to know me as a person. It is called Well Abridge Me Princess, and as the title implies, it is an abridged series of the Zelda cartoon, and it is also an act of gender expression. I voice the they-them non-binary Link and the trans femme Zelda, my first female role, which I was super nervous about. Ella helps write it. Shelby voices at least 2 major characters in it. It's my pride and joy and bread and butter.
Charlie and Shelby, actually, I know we got down here in the Hall of Conspiracies. If you're actually able to just walk HK out, I can just stay here in front of the microphone and play the normal outro song right in front of. I have my ukulele here.
Okay, see you later.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks, HK. Thanks for coming. All right, see ya.
Thanks.
All right. Right now they're gone, and I can play one of the classics. Saturday night is the night, alright. Time to groove till the morning light. Your bell bottoms on, your hair unfurls. You are the disco girl. Everyone gasps when you hit the scene.
Who's she?
People say you're a funky queen.
It's me.
Spinning around like a disco ball. Who's the honey who's got it all? Disco girl coming through. That girl is you. Ooh, 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 ooh. It's the year 1972, and that girl is you. Ooh, 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 ooh. You can sing, you can shimmer. Love's on the menu and disco's for dinner. Disco girl coming through. That girl is you. Ooh, 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 ooh. She's got sass for miles and miles. Disco will outlast all musical styles. Disco girl, so wild and true. That girl is you. Ooh, 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 ooh. Strutting down the avenue. That girl is you. Ooh, 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 ooh. Our Eurovision application is under review, and that girl is you.
So much to do to get ready for the big day. I can't believe you agreed to take my hand in marriage.
I can't believe it's already been 10 years since we met on that cliff outside, Hand Witch.
And a lifetime to come. Unnamed flattered hiker with nice butt. Well, for you, I'm pretty sure I'm like immortal or something. Ugh, that's gonna suck for me in like 50 years. Anyway, I want to make sure I'm not forgetting any necessary wedding invites. Can we read off our guest list?
I found a list of names. That's probably it, right?
I can't imagine what else it could be.
All right, Barry but a monkey.
Sad Chris.
Saskia.
Tiff Sykes.
Hope.
Trixie Jubilation.
Samantha Angley.
Easy Snake Oven. I see what they did there.
Karma.
Rich Roll.
Simon.
Jessie Marie McDougal.
Adam with 2 A's. A D and an M.
Delphine Dussy.
Vanillenzucker.
Ro Davis.
Elizabeth Neuenfeld.
Mumpletina D. Wumpletina.
Elizabeth Clark. That's 2 Elizabeths.
Jamie Belts.
Richard Scanlon.
Joseph Jones.
Christy Overton.
Junior Bruh.
Petey Piranha Plant. Hey.
Daddy Driftwood.
Daddy Buttons.
Windpipe.
David Gansel.
Hugh Salinas.
Friendly Local Geek.
Von Boringness.
Zendrika.
Brian Faber.
Spencer Neil Campbell.
Bryce Lavender.
And Josh.
I don't know. It all sounds so ridiculous.
Oh, wait, my bad. This isn't our guest list. This is the people who pledged to Mystery Shack Look Back on Patreon.
Nah, no use making extra work for ourselves. Let's just invite them all anyway. They sound delightful.
Score your seat at our reception at patreon.com/Mystery Shack.